Recording.
Hi, welcome to the Alabama PIRC podcast. I'm your host, Sherry Wilson. But today we're going to mix it up a little and have two other hosts joining me. I have Jenny Brazington from the Arizona PIRC and Susan Schaefer from the Maryland PIRC. Hi, everyone.
Hi. This is great.
It's fantastic to be here with you.
It's great to be here. This is wonderful.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about PIRC. Susan, you are the lucky one because you are so close to the nation's capital, and so you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the PIRC family. Why don't you give us an update of where things stand with the federal legislation relating to PIRCs?
Well, right now we're waiting to hear about the reauthorization. It doesn't look like it'll happen before the November election. There is some scuttlebutt it may happen during a lame duck session.
Really?
But they really don't think so. So I think sometime next year, we should hear something about the reauthorization. I think we're hearing more positive things about the inclusion of PIRCs. We're part of the Senate bill.
That is good news.
And we're waiting to hear about the House.
So what about the idea of parent engagement in terms of ESEA and reauthorization and...
Yeah, remember when No Child Left Behind passed, and before that it was the Improving America's Schools Act? Well, Section 1118 kind of stayed the same in both incarnations. So are we anticipating right now that maybe the Obama administration is going to make any significant changes?
Well, the most significant change is the 2% set aside for Title I. That's $145 million more for the states. Again, that'll come through the State Departments.
Is that going to be extra money, or is that them just setting aside existing funds? I mean, if they already get, let's say they get $500,000 and they set aside that 1%, are they going to have the same $500,000, only now have to set aside 2%? Which I don't have a problem with philosophically, but I just want to know which way that's going to go.
I believe it means that there'll be an additional amount of money.
Fantastic.
That would not have otherwise been authorized for use from Title I.
And that'll be specifically for family engagement activities.
That remains to be seen. It depends, as we talked about this morning, whether they say shall, may, or...
And how clearly articulated that is from the state level down to the LEA, and then down to the individual schools.
Right. And it depends what kind of accountability measures are associated with the funding. Because as we know, many schools have trouble spending the Title I funds they currently have. And with districts being so economically depressed, it'll be interesting to see whether the money will be spent for what it is actually intended for.
And I know some districts have trouble spending the money, but I also know that there are lots of districts that spend it on things that aren't effective. And so they continue to spend it on things that they've always spent it on, instead of looking at, let's maybe think out of the box a little bit or change things up a bit, because what we're doing maybe really isn't working to our ultimate goal. So, I think that's an issue. And they don't really have guidance from the state level as to say, okay, so here's some really best practice thing to spend your dollars on.
Right, so the Family Engagement in Education Act would solve some of these problems because it would give a lot more guidance and give a lot more definitive responses to state and local districts about what effective family engagement looks like and the resources they could use to bring to bear to implement that in their own.
Absolutely right.
So what's the status with that?
Well, it's the status of that legislation is that the Senate has accepted part of the language. Remember, what that language means and what it will actually look like once it's written into legislative language could be two different things. But the intent certainly of the bill is definitely evident, and that's what they're looking at in terms of family engagement. And it's important because it's systemic. It talks about integrative services, it talks about capacity building, and it talks about from cradle to career and wherever children learn. So I think that it's very comprehensive, and it provides a standard by which we can at least discuss family engagement.
Is there a timeline for that? Is that on the same timeline as the SEA, or is it different?
That's language for the reauthorization.
Oh, so there's no chance that will pass before the reauthorization?
No. That is language.
It's going to be a part. Okay.
That is good to know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, where is it? Do you know if it's in the House now? I know there's bipartisan support because it was introduced by both parties, right?
Yes, it was introduced by both parties. It did pass the Senate, and we're waiting to hear from the House.
Okay, fantastic. So while we have you here, Susan, let's give a little plug out for your other job that you do, because you are a fantastic author. Tell us the name of some of the books that you've written, and just so you know, you can get those on Amazon.com. What are they?
I didn't say that.
But they are very, very good books. So,
Well, I wrote 4 books.
Mhm.
One on teenage girls, the other on teenage boys. The boy book is called Why Boys Don't Talk and Why We Care, Parents' Guide to Connection. And the girl book is on, I always forget the titles, they're so long. The title is Why Girls Talk and What They're Really Saying. And then we wrote 2 adult children books. One on Mom, Can I Move Back In With You? A survival guide for parents of 20-somethings.
that's the one I need.
And
I need the talking for the boys. That's what I need.
our latest book is called Too Close for Comfort, questioning the intimacy of the new relationship between mothers and adult daughters.
And can I suggest maybe your next one be how you get them back out?
Yes,
After
it's
they
a
come
revolving
home again?
door, that's what I can tell you. It's a revolving
I
door.
want my empty nest back.
I
There
know.
is no such thing as an empty nest. Maybe that should be the next book.
There
There's
is
no such thing as an empty nest.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Exactly.
Parenting is never over, it just changes. I have
Right.
adult children, and trust me, it's never over.
Okay, great. 'Cause I've got
Sorry,
this
I know you have a
10-year-old, and
little
I know I'm kind of thinking.
I know. No,
No?
whether they live with you or they don't live with you, you
That
are
is so
always
true.
a parent.
Absolutely. Well, this has been great fun. I'm so glad we could all take this time out.
And we learned some stuff.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
asking me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been fun. Let's do it again.
Absolutely.
Very soon.
If you want more information about the Alabama PIRC, you can go to our website at www.alabamaparentcenter.com.
And if you want information about the Arizona PIRC, you can go to www.azpirc.com.
The same, except for MDPIRC.org.
Okay, so the last one would be www.mdpirc.org.
Yeah, let's try that again. www.arizona.
The important thing is
AZPIRC.com.
you can get to all of those from my site. So
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Sherry's the connector.
Thanks so much.
This is great.